the dry season, so the water is very low. And because the water is low, it has revealed all of these rocks that have petroglyphs on it. And because of this cause and effect, deductive reasoning, we believe that this was the ancients' way of telling people who live in the region now, yo, brother, this is a good time to catch some crab. But don't catch too much, because my great-great-daddy, he didn't catch 100, and we couldn't eat crab for 20 years. And that's something that we call sustainable hunting. So we believe that this was a way of communicating. So many deer were hunted in savannah at this time. Things were not overhunt like my great-great-great-grandfather did, etc., etc. Any questions, queries? So far, it's pretty cool. I'll get right to it. You can put your cup closer. Now, this is a display of a shell midden. And while everything in here is real, these are not what we would find in a shell midden. Those artifacts are in the display cases behind you. So you can feel free to look as I discuss. A shell midden is when, in the distant past, our gentlemen are leaving the village in order to go to the pools, perhaps to hunt some deer, perhaps to hunt some whatever. They're walking, they're moving, they're escaping their wives, and that's the truth. And you would find along the coast these giant mounds, the majority of which are made up of shells that we believe had accreted over 100 years of eating these shells. Has anyone ever snails? I'm sorry. Has anyone ever had conch?
No.
You? Oh, all right. Oh, you have. Tastes sweet, don't it? No? All right. You did not have the right kind. Okay. I have had it. It is delicious. I prefer octopus personally, but anyway, besides the point. Sorry. Squid. Give me a high five. I love squid. Anyway, besides the point. This is one of the reasons, or one of the ways in which that we knew what the ancient people used to eat, because of things that they leave behind. You also see some crab shells, some faunal remains from deers and such, and we also have found on occasion human remains in the occasional shell midden. Well, there was a Dutch explorer in the 18th century, early 18th century, who, upon finding human remains in a shell midden, also came to the reasonable conclusion that that person was a victim of cannibalism. However, at least in that instance, there were no teeth marks on the bones itself. You know, when you're eating a chicken bone and you're really eating the chicken bone, you would be able to find under a microscope scratches from your teeth on the bone, even if you can't see it with the naked eye. And there were none of the sort of this person who was interred into the shell midden. And that is kind of what led to the belief that the Caribs were cannibals. Now, there have been people who have argued back at me, no, the Caribs were cannibals, but to the best of my knowledge, to the best of my reasoning, so far that has not been true. So, any questions, queries? All right, then I invite all of you to walk around, read the individual labels. If you have any questions, just point them out to me, and I'll answer. There are some of the technological wonders of the ancient peoples. Now, you're going to say technology when looking at this stuff, but you'd be surprised. For the things that they had at their disposal, they made a great use of all of the things in their environment. The same Tibisiri, for example, that you would find in the craft market, the amount of things that they were able to make with. Here you'll see some storage trays, for example. You can feel free to come closer. These were made by weaving, as you might guess, and each tribe had a different pattern of weaving. Some of them even had names. It was usually the domain of the gentleman, especially in the YY tribe, because it was a way of, you know, how in Western culture we have the dowry, or you know, you have proof that a man can provide for his wife. This was how men would provide for their wives, by proving that they'd be able to make the storage trays, the warachis, the matapis, so that their women would be able to do their work.
The standards went down. Very down.
We also have some fish traps, as promised. This one is a patamona fish trap, and it is used in conjunction with a fence. So say we have a river here, and it's flowing downwards, and we have a fence right here. But in this fence, there are breaks, and in those breaks, we put our sock-shaped patimono fish traps, so that when our fish is meandering down the river, minding its own business, it slides right up against the fence, and in order to try to escape, it slips right into the poor fish trap. And then our gentleman comes along and says, "Ha, and gone." I was also reading that there was an alternative fishing technique, which I thought was just, that's not a fishing technique, that's just bullying. Apparently, the river otters, they have a habit of whenever they catch a fish, they put it on the bank, and then they go and catch a fish, and then they put it on the bank, so that they have a nice big pile of fish, and they'll be able to, take home to their children or whatever. So apparently what happens is that an Amerindian man in the past, I don't know if they still do it today, shame on them if they do, they will see the river otter, put down his fish, wait until the river otter leaves, and then go and take the fish and gone. And that is called a fishing technique.
That is horrible.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. So, I will introduce you to Lucy. Yeah, let's go over to Lucy.
Here we go. Okay.
This is Lucy, our white lady.
She reminds me of Shrek Wife from Part 2 when she was eating,
I will pretend to not have heard that. So this is our Lucy. She's our Arawak lady. She cut off all her hair because her man leave her. And she gets upset. And she decided to go out into the cassava fields and dig up some bit of cassava and wash the cassava and peel the cassava and grate the cassava on the cassava grater that her father and brothers made for her with the river stones. And after she grated the cassava, she put the grated cassava in the matapi. And then she put a rod in the bottom of the matapi. And she said that Peter did not deserve her anyway. And then she sat down on the stick and she said, "I'm going to take back custody of my daughter." And then because she's sitting down on the stick, this elongates the matapi. So the volume within the matapi shrinks and the fluid inside comes out because the grated cassava has nowhere to go. So the fluid has to move. And in that fluid, that is where the cyanide, the poison that is created within the bit of cassava is found. And in boiling it, that is how they make their kasiri and their kasri. Yes. When she takes the drained cassava meal out of the matapi now, she will be able to put it on a griddle, as you can see over here. The heat combined with the pressure from the cassava smoother makes it into a nice thin shape, and that is how we get our cassava bread. And the cassava bread usually, or traditionally I should say, is dried on the roof of the thatch home, or sometimes in the rafters within the home, and it is stored in our same storage tray that I showed you over there. Any questions so far?
Now, Lucy.
This is not Lucy, no. I've yet confirmed a name for her. So far I've thought of Ruth and Isabel.
They're not too native.
Yes, they are. I believe these are also ladies from the YY tribe, because we have, this museum has a connection to YY, so we have a lot of
Coming
tribes
soon.
attached to it. Any questions so far? All right, let me show you and then I'll let you guys wander around to your heart's content.
That looks so comfortable. So
Oh my god, I want to have a green.
Oh, the book was called My Name.
So this hammock was actually made by a Wapishana lady. Traditionally, it is made only by the women, and they learn from a very young age. We had a gentleman come in and said that he wants to observe the process. There was a young mother around 24, 25, and as she was weaving on the loom, she had her little 6-year-old daughter between her knees, and her 6-year-old daughter was there working with her and watching the process. This Wapishana hammock, I believe, was made by 4 or 5 women. So just to show you, it took a village to create a hammock, if that's how the saying goes. Any questions so far?
So
No? All right, then I invite you to wander around. Feel free to look at the object labels, ask me any questions if you have any.